Hi, everyone. Welcome to Restitch America. My name is Ohene-Opare, and I'm very excited to be here with you today. And today I have with me a special guest who we're going to have a really awesome conversation with. And her name is Katherine Vallejos. But before we get to that point, I wanted to take an opportunity to ask you for your help. In order for us to grow this platform, we need people to support it. And so if you have never shared our podcast with someone, please consider doing so today. Don't postpone it. Just do it right now. So, and also go to our social media platforms. If you're on Facebook or you're on Instagram or TikTok, wherever you are, go and follow Restitch America, and also subscribe to our YouTube channel so that you're notified when we have new content available. And then also, another important thing is for you to connect with our guests. The reason we select these people and bring them on is so that we can be mutually beneficial to each other. So please go follow our guests. If you want more information about them, you will get that information in the description of this video. So thank you so much for your support so far. And I'm going to do my introduction with Katherine. And just to give you a little bit of a background here. So Katherine and I met over social media. She actually reached out to me and asked if she could interview me. So she and I had an interview a few weeks ago, and it went really well. And so I invited her back to come and join us here. And Katherine is going to tell us a little bit about herself. But before she does that, I wanted to give you a little sense of who she is. So Katherine is actually currently based in Spain, and she is a journalist who is passionate about God, truth, and fighting cancel culture. She is starting her journalistic project right now, and she, even though she's based in Spain, she's focused on American politics. And so go follow Katherine. If you've come across her, great. But if not, we will give you her information, and I'll let her tell you towards the end of this podcast so you know how to go and find her and follow her. So for now, let's start with the discussion. So Katherine, tell us a little bit about your background and why American politics, of all things that you could be doing.
Yeah, definitely. So first of all, thank you so much for having me here in your podcast. I feel very honored. And yeah, and I totally appreciate you. So that's amazing being here. And I am Peruvian, and I grew up in Peru until when I was 10 years old. Me, my family, and I would decide to move here to Spain. The family of my mom is from Spain. So basically we moved because in the decade of the 90s, it was like terrorism there. So it was like pretty chaotic. Even if I have like a good childhood, but because in the neighborhood where we live, the schools where we go and everything, it was like not pretty good place where stay. And also the country was getting, the things were getting very complicated with terrorism and all that stuff. So that's why my family and I decided to move here. So I am 35 years old. So I have been living here in Barcelona, Spain, 25 years. So yeah, and why politics? That's interesting. I was accustomed since I was a child and when I was little to watch news almost every day. And for some reason, the politics station always called my attention. And thinking and considering what about American politics is because I always was amazed when it was the section of politics from United States. And also there's the secretary, the secretary, Condoleezza Rice. I used to love her, like how she expressed her speech and everything. And I feel like just observing her or just, like learning more about her, like makes me get a little bit in American politics, but also because I think whatever happened in United States is going to happen around the world. And I think that's very, very important. So that's basically why American politics. Also because I grew up in American school and I always had like a huge connection with United States. So I think it's a lot of facts and things that makes me to engage with American politics.
That's very interesting. So my next question to you is, so you are into American politics, but who cares about American politics in Spain? Is that something that people are talking about, or do you find that it's just you reaching out into the American social media scene that you're getting audience? Do people in Spain care?
Not really. I feel like people that care here, it used to be like more conservative people. I don't know why, but usually here in Spain we have like people in society in general is like pretty leftist, so not a lot, but I just realize conservative people, they really care. But if we have to talk in general, not really, nobody cares. So it's so funny because people always tell me, but why American? Like, why you don't focus in politics in Spain or in Europe? Like, why America if you don't even live there? And no, but I feel since I start my project and post my videos, and people that know me, people are interested, obviously. And that's my goal, like, like be one of the first journalists here in Spain specialized in American politics, so I can engage more people into the American politics, and they can also learn how work the world, because American politics has to do a lot in the world.
Definitely. Yeah. American politics affects a lot of things in the world, even considering
Yeah,
some of the things that are happening in the world right now, right? America
definitely,
is backing Israel, and that has implications all around the world. And so, America,
definitely.
I have always seen America as, they say the last best hope for freedom in the world. And I know that as America, as a country, we haven't always lived up to our values. However, I know that America is still very important and a crucial player in the safety and security of the world. And so that's I think American politics is relevant for a lot of countries, even if they don't realize that connection. So before we go into any more of the politics side of things, so you said you left Peru at the age of 10 because of all the terrorism and other things that were going on there, basically some political instability over there. And that
Yeah.
brought you into Spain. So did you move with your entire family? Do you have siblings? Tell us a little bit about
Yeah,
the domestic side
yeah.
of your life.
I moved with my parents, and I have two siblings, a brother and a sister. Actually, my sister is living in United States.
Ah.
So how you can see, I have a lot of connections with United States. I have also aunties and cousins in different parts of United States. So yeah, we moved here, and it was a pretty interesting childhood here in Spain, because when I arrived here, me and my family, we were one of in the first wave of immigration here. So basically, people, they don't even know what was immigrant. We obviously look different because we are, from other country. We speak with different accent, different costumes, different cultures. And it was a pretty interesting childhood. And yeah, I think for my sister, for her it was a little hard to adapt here because she was teenager, and she had all her friends, her crew in Peru. So for her it was a little hard. But for me and my brother, he was 5 years old and I was 10. So it was nice, but it was interesting because here in Barcelona, well, in here is the state of Catalonia, and in Barcelona we speak Catalan. So I had to learn that language, which I love. I really love Catalan. And it was pretty interesting. And I learned in 3 months. Like it was, I was very successful in that. Obviously, I was kid. And when you are a child, you learn
It's much
easy
easier. Yeah.
things. Yeah. So, but it was interesting. It was interesting when I was in the school, the relationship with other kids, and sometimes how they were talking to me in Catalan. Sometimes they do for help me. Sometimes when they don't want you in the group, they were using Catalan for take me away. But I don't know. It was hard sometimes, but I was loving, and yeah, and my life obviously here it was a little different than in Peru, because in Peru my family, they had like another situation, or another different situation like here. So my parents basically, they had to start from the beginning, like from zero. So obviously they have like a good jobs in Peru, like companies or business, and here they have to start like from nothing. So that was a little shocking, not for me, but for my parents. But I obviously saw them, and that helped me and teach me to be thankful for everything, because one day you can be here, but other day you can be here, and at the end you have to value people for what they are, no, or for what they have. So
Exactly.
yeah, that's
Oh,
a
thank you
good
so
lesson
much.
that I learned from my was childhood.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing that. All right, so let's talk about your preferred career, which is journalism. Now,
Yeah.
journalism has, I believe, especially in America, American journalism has lost a lot of credibility. So
Yeah.
what we call in America the mainstream media, they have been, I believe, the catalyst for the so-called misinformation and disinformation in our country. So when you turn on the TV, just like you said, in Spain, a lot of the media is pretty left-leaning, and it's really hard to get a fair kind of balance between both sides. And even though the media wants us to trust them, they don't treat us like we are people who are sensible and able to make decisions, right? The media is basically colluding with the government to lie to us. Think COVID and all the lies we heard during COVID, right? They collude with the government to lie to us. And then when you challenge the media or you challenge the government, you're called a conspiracy theorist, you're called an extremist, and so on and so forth. So, what is the state of journalism, and what is your approach to journalism? Are you opinion? Are you fact? How are you navigating that journalist world?
That is an interesting question. So my approach is like, I really like and love interviews because I love people and I'm very passionate, and I feel like when you interview personalities or people in general, you get the most human part, because I feel like in politics in a specific, people is accustomed to see on TV like someone like fighting sometimes or making rules, or like very formal. And I feel like when you approach to someone as an interview, you can get that human part, that sensitivity, like they don't used to show in a congress or stuff like that. So yeah, I love interviews, and I'm super accustomed to that. But also, since COVID, I became a lot more of opinion. So yeah, I don't know, like if opinion or critical, but I definitely, most of my posts or some of my posts are opinions about cancel culture, about science and COVID. Also, I have a degree in a master degree in scientific communication, so that gives me a little authority to post things about science referring to COVID, for example, that it was like a huge science crisis the whole world had the last years. So yeah, but if I have to choose one, definitely I choose love interviews. I think with a good interview, you can have a lot of information of people and different things.
Yeah, I love that too, because I feel like a lot of times we lose that human connection, and we see people on TV and we make assumptions about people's lives. We see people out when we go about in our daily lives, and we make all these assumptions. And I think in some way, because of social media, because of our phones, we're losing that human connection, that human touch. And so when someone interviews someone and opens them up, to that vulnerability, and you get to understand kind of who they are and how they think when they're not, acting for everybody to see. That allows us to recognize the humanity between each of us. And I think that's something that is really necessary. Now, you said that you were one of your I would say your goals or your positions is to fight against cancel culture. So a lot of people talk about cancel culture, but what does cancel culture mean to you? What is the definition of cancel culture to you?
Okay, so I will give you my personal definition. For me, cancel culture is censor everything that is right. That will be my definition of cancel culture. Like right now, we live in a season when you talk about things that are natural and normal, you are being canceled or you are being censored. For example, we can see with the gender ideology right now. If you say to a man who believes he's a woman, if you say, hey, you are a man, you are transphobic, you are all the phobics you want or they want, and they want to censor just because they say the truth. Oh, I don't know, let's give you a little easy example. If you say the sky is blue, they want to censor you because they want to make you believe the sky is red or the sky is green. And it's like, what I need to believe some mental disorder in your mind just because you try and society approves you. So for me, basically, cancel culture will be censor the truth.
Okay, so
Yeah.
censoring things that are obviously true, right? So 10 years ago, this would be absurd. If you went back in a time machine and you went back 10 years and you met somebody back 10 years ago and you told them, hey, there will be a time when saying men are men and women are women will be controversial. Like you will be banned on social media for speaking true facts. And so yes, a lot has changed. And I think it was completely exacerbated during the COVID pandemic. And that is when the media felt like they needed to put their thumbs on the scale. So rather than focusing on giving accurate information to people and letting those people make decisions, the media became what they believed was some kind of nanny that was supposed to protect us from ourselves, right? We were the dumb rubes who couldn't really understand the science, who couldn't assess the risks ourselves, and they needed to come in and save the day. So I know there were lockdowns in Spain. And how was the pandemic there? How was that experience?
Oh my gosh, we are talking about very sensitive point. So here the pandemic was pretty chaotic, pretty chaotic. The lockdown starts in March 15, and it was until probably like a year and a half ago. Like it was like so long. We had a very long lockdown. Here, basically, people were pretty crazy, like with the mask mandates, with the, like with the hair, with the
Hand
suit, the health
sanitizers,
sanitizer, the hand sanitizer. It was terrible. Even when arrived the vaccine, people was really terrible. They really media, they were very specialist in polarize this, like they really create a division in society because it was the part of conspiracy theories. Like maybe I was there, maybe you was there, I don't know. But every time that I was posting things, people was telling me like, why are you posting this? You are being respectful. You're trying to indoctrinate me. You are trying to obligate me to think and see things how you see and how you think. And for me, it was like, like I'm just trying to show you what it is, like not my truth, like choose something objective. So here it was pretty crazy. Like a lot of people go to the supermarket, to the paper towels, like in the whole world. And it was a lot of lines. Like even we got a COVID passport, the vaccine passport. So it were a time where you weren't allowed to go to a coffee shop or to, I don't know, to restaurants or that kind of places if you didn't have the COVID passport. So here it was pretty, I don't know what term to use, like pretty Nazi. I don't know, but here it was really terrible. Like the government and the media, they really separate people. And they're really hard to people, definitely, like to the conspiracy part. Even if we don't call, because we don't think we are conspiracy, but who the people who think we are conspiracy, like
Mhm.
they make us a lot of pain. And yeah, COVID was terrible. The prices of the food increased, and like people were super scared. I remember every day at around 7 8 p.m., all the people in the whole country, they just decide to go to the balcony and clapping for 1 minute, I think. Don't remember how many minutes, for being grateful and in favor to all the doctors and nurses that were like facing that. But it was chaotic. It was really, really chaotic. Even if you go to the street without mask, it was the police giving you a paper, and I got one, for example, because I was without mask. So I feel like here that restrictions take us a lot of our freedom. They stole part of our freedom. So yeah, and right now it seems like the mask mandate we don't have anymore, but the mask is for being here for more time, because it's like normal seeing people in the street with masks. Not a lot of people, because I really feel and I really see that a lot of people has awakening for that situation and for that show circus that I call. But yeah, I still see people in the bus, in the subway, in the streets with masks. Not a lot, but some of them. It seems like some people really create a trauma with that. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like it exposed a lot of things that we thought our government would not do, right? Things
Yeah.
that we were under the impression that, hey, our government really cared about our individual liberty and cared about our rights and so on. But then it seemed like as soon as they found a vehicle that they could use to usurp those rights, they immediately like globbed onto it and started usurping those rights. And people in America lost their jobs. The nurses and the doctors that we were applauding, all the essential workers, when the vaccine came and they said, hey, I'm making a personal choice not to take a vaccine, that's when they started threatening people and taking away their jobs and really, really pushing people to do something they didn't want to do, which for me, I think it opened our eyes and allowed us to see that we cannot trust the government. Like when the government has a chance, they will take away your freedom.
Yeah,
Right.
definitely. We can trust our government, I will say, in nothing, because right now, if you are a parent, right? You are a father. So if you send your children to the school, you can even trust them because they're trying to indoctrinate with ideologies that they are not right. So I feel like for those who think the government will save you, or they think the government will save you, you are believing a liar, because the government is not interested in your safe. They're interested in stole your money, in brainwash your brain, in wash your brain, and and just creating a culture of fear. Like here in Spain, I just see like a lot of people living in fear. Like right now, if you go into the public transportation and someone is coughing, like people look to you like bad, and that 3 years ago never happened that, and you have to be very careful. And yeah, I think like with the COVID, definitely the whole world suffers, but for me it helps me, or teach me, or show me, that's the word, show me who were really my friends and my people who can really know. Because definitely have like a really good people, but because I really feel also all the COVID situation, if you weren't with so much emotional intelligence and you get so passionate and so emotional, you involve your emotions in all of that. Definitely, you involve your emotions, right? But if you are not very mature, you were able to lose people because they weren't believe what you believe, or they were so afraid and scared. So after COVID, I was analyzing the other day, my social life changed completely. I lost some of my friends, and I gained another good friends. And that showed me, and I will say something also in specific. And in church, I really had to move to another church because in the church I was attending, everyone was vaccinated, and they arrived to say, like, if you don't get the vaccine, you don't have the love of God. So that was really crazy, because that even infect churches, and like creating a fear culture in atmosphere when you don't have to live in fear. So it was very, very interesting, the COVID stuff.
Okay, so let's shift gears a little bit. So you, of course, are familiar with what is going on around the world. October 7th, we know exactly what happened in Israel. There was a terrorist attack. And one of the things that has shocked me to my core is the response of the world to those attacks, and the fact that everybody immediately turned away from the attack itself and started pointing fingers at Israel. And my question to you is, what have you seen around, as you have kind of followed the news on that? How is it being received in Spain? Do you have protests over there? What about what you were seeing on social media around this particular topic?
Yeah, about this particular topic, definitely I have seen a lot of people against Israel, in favor or supporting Palestine. And also you can see sometimes like the ignorance of population and don't know the problem, because the problem it has like centuries ago. It's not something like it happened just now. So here, definitely living in a leftist country, obviously the government is supporting Palestine. A lot of, like all the leftist people and the feminists going in protest, supporting Palestine with the flag. So even LGTB and the Palestine flag there. Yeah, it's very crazy. And also people is blaming, that was interesting news that I read like today, and I was laughing. One of the ministers here was blaming the president of Spain, like basically saying it was his fault, everything that is happening with Palestine and Israel. And it was like, what's wrong with that? So yeah, here definitely people is not supporting Israel. There are conservative people, obviously they are in favor of them or they support them. But here in Europe, there's a lot of hate with Israel. And also I have seen in Paris, it was one of the cities most attacked in Europe right now, because Paris has a lot of a huge Muslim population there. So yeah, like the Palace Versailles was evacuated 8 times in 1 week. The Louvre Museum has to be evacuated also. So Paris right now, if you want to go Paris, don't go Paris right now, because it's pretty chaotic now, or you have to be safe. But yeah, I have seen also a huge protest in supporting Palestine in UK, in London, which something like surprised me. And also in Berlin, I think in Berlin also. So yeah, the people is against Israel. And I think like the media also play an important role and part here, right? Because they are manipulating things. That remind me the war of Ukraine between Russia, right? So the media create their own narrative, and the people who is very emotional and not able to see what's the real problem, they fell very easy into that narrative, and they believe obviously, and they support a liar, or they don't know the whole part of the story 100%. So yeah, basically here in Spain, the government, the summary will be like the government, they support Palestine and they don't want to know anything with Israel, which breaks my heart, obviously.
It's definitely shocked me as well. I think we are in a place where anti-Semitism is now out in the open. And we thought that because of the Holocaust and the memories of that atrocity, that all this was behind us, right? Said never again, never forget. And yet, it seems like those sentiments are not dead. Those sentiments are still alive and well. And I think there needs to be a distinction made, right, between saying, hey, there are innocent Palestinians who today are suffering.
Definitely.
And being pro-Palestinian is not necessarily a bad thing.
Yeah.
However, what people are doing is they're giving cover to a terrorist organization, which is Hamas, right? And they're giving cover to a terrorist organization. And when they're speaking about what is going on, you're not hearing people say, for instance, hey, why is Hamas stopping the innocent Palestinians from leaving the areas that are being bombed? Why are they putting in roadblocks? Why are they saying that they want people to be martyred? Why are they saying that they want the blood of their own women and children to be spilled? Because they believe somehow that is the most noble thing you can do, is to be a matter for the cause. So if you're going to talk about what Israel is doing, you have to also recognize in that same breath that the reason that Israel is in Gaza right now is because they were attacked.
Yeah.
Right? They were attacked, and that attack was not a resistance to occupation. It was not a resistance to apartheid. It was an attack on innocent civilians who, in many cases, are people who probably would have raised a flag and said free Palestine, especially those kids who were at the concert, right?
Yeah.
And so this was an indiscriminate attack. And the fact that people are giving cover to Hamas as they commit this atrocity is what has really, really shocked me. So right now I have a video that I posted that seems to be going viral for some strange reason. And it's this conversation going back and forth. And I think one of the challenges in talking about this issue is the fact that we are all not using the same words, right? In the West, we're saying there's an occupation, there's an open air prison, and there are blockade, and so on and so forth. And so we're talking in terms of political language, right? We're using political language. But when you talk to Hamas and you talk to some people in Palestine, you find that they're not using political language. They're using language like, we need to eliminate the Jews. So they're talking about human beings. They're not talking about a government. They're not talking about a state solution. They're actually talking about eliminating a certain type of people, right? That's part of their charter. And in the West, we pretend as if that does not exist and everything is just a political struggle, but it has nothing to do with politics for the people who are perpetrating the events that happened on October 7th. And I'm ranting a little bit, but what do you think the public is missing in this conversation? What do you think, and what do you think can be done? As for instance, you as a journalist, what can the people in the media do to kind of lay the facts bare so people understand what is going on?
I think in media right now, there's a lot of people who talks about everything and they don't know nothing about what they are talking. What they want to try to say is like, we need journalists specialized in specific topics. And I think we need people, maybe more journalists specialized in that topic in between Israel and Palestine, because a lot of people definitely is missing the point. And how I say before, this is a conflict, like it was happening like centuries ago. It's not like recently. So I think obviously media is creating a narrative, a fake narrative. And definitely there's no a lot of media and journalists prepare for fight the polarization. Because right now, basically, media, a lot of journalists, they are surrounding to the leaders who are in the power, and the leaders who are in the power, they want basically journalists being their puppets, and follow their stories. And that's what's happening right now. Like, we don't have real journalism anymore. What we have now is just people that they want to count stories, they want to pursue a career, and I don't care if that story that this media is explaining me is true or not. I just want to be there. So I think we need we need more rigor right now, because we are missing a lot of information. Like, we are missing the sources. Who is my source? I can trust this source. What I'm sharing that article, what I'm sharing that information. People don't contrast information. So I think one of the problems right now is like just have critical thinking. I think we have lost as a society in general critical thinker, and that became more of the journalists. So that becomes more of the journalists with no critical thinking anymore. They don't have critical sense anymore, common sense. So I would say that, yeah, and we're missing definitely a lot of part of the history. And I would love to know more about Israel and Palestine problem, which I know the basic, right? I would love to give you a more profound answer in that question. But if I feel definitely we need more rigor in journalism for explain what is going on, because I think I have read in different medias in different countries, and they completely lost the focus. I feel like media in this century, they are more focused in create stories of fear, terrific, and stories just for have people in alert all the time, right? But they are not really caring anymore about what really is happening. I'm gonna say the things how is happening. So yeah, I don't know if that responds your question.
That's perfectly fine. So I want to wrap up with a series of questions around America. And so if you had the opportunity to speak to, let's say, the American college student, right? The American college student who is looking at America and saying, well, this country is bad, this country has a bad history, this country has, it's not exceptional, and so on and so forth. I want to kind of hear from the perspective of an outsider on what college students and what the young people in America don't realize about their own country, and the privileges that they have potentially from your perspective that they don't realize that they have.
Okay, something I will say, and I don't want to offend anyone. From the outside, definitely American society, they need to cultivate more the intellectual and know more about the world, because my experience in the United States always been around people. They only know the story of United States and the history of United States, but they don't know anything about other parts of the world. And for understand the world, is very important to read what was happening in Europe, what was happening in Africa, what was happening, in Asia, in not just in America. So I would say like they have lack of culture, and something positive and some privilege. They live in a country with so much freedom, maybe more than others, and in a country that gives you a lot of opportunities for growth as a professional, as a person. It's really easy have a business, more easy than, for example, here in Spain. And I would say that the negative thing will be like lack of culture and information, and the privilege will be like you guys live in a country with a lot of opportunities, maybe the best country in the whole world. Like, you can be whatever you want. And I think that's something we need to, or you need to take the chance and use it in a very wisely way. Yeah, that's what I will say to them.
All right. Thank you for sharing your opinion on that. And I don't want to keep you too long today. So thank you, Katherine, for joining me today on our podcast. And I'm very excited to have had you here today. And I'm hoping that we will keep in contact with each other. But I want to give you a chance to let others know where to find your content. So where can people go to find you? And I will put this in the description of the video as well. So if you don't get it that's okay, but I'll have Katherine tell us, where do we go to find you?
Yeah, well, for the moment, I'm pretty active on Instagram. I used to post videos. I stopped a little bit, but I'm gonna retake again my posting videos. And my Instagram account, it's Heuristica News. I'm pretty sure you will post it later.
I will post it.
So yeah, basically, and I'm trying to post videos in a YouTube channel. I don't have it. I mean, I have the channel, but I don't have post any videos yet. But I'm gonna be posting as soon as I can. But basically, for the moment, Instagram.
Awesome. So we will put your Instagram information in the description of the video. Thank you so much for joining us today. It was nice to hear the perspective of other people outside of America. I have lived in America for about 20 years now. And so I've lived here longer than I lived in my home country. So I am pretty much, I would say, American right now. And it was nice to hear the perspective of someone from somewhere else, and how they think about America and the things that are happening here and around the world. So thank you for joining me today. And with that, once again, like, share, subscribe. Let us know what you think about the guests that we have. And if you know someone who you believe will be great to have on the show, please let us know by going to contact us at restitchamerica.com. Contact us at restitchamerica.com. Send us those emails. Let us know what you think. And we hope to see you once again next week.